Okay, we are now recording, and hopefully this will get it. Now, it may take me a while, but somehow I'm supposed to be able to get this to go to Blackboard, okay? Now, good old Tegrity went directly to Blackboard. So, with a new improved model, I have to figure out how to get it to Blackboard. I think what they do, it saves to a YouTube file, and then I'll link the class to the YouTube file, but I haven't done that yet. I just barely got this thing loaded last night. The dean provided the training video, and I couldn't hear it to begin with. I adjusted my sound, finally could hear just barely what she was saying, and then I tried to go back. It didn't have a rewind key, so I missed the first part. So whatever was there, I missed. And then, after a while, I tried to go back and find something I knew I got wrong, and it started recording on top of itself, but different portions of the thing. And then it started telling me how to enter attendance on a new WebSmart. So I was going nuts. So this morning, it looks like it sort of is working. I don't know when this will be out there, but we'll try to get it out there for you. Here is a syllabus. Now, here is my confession. It's confession time now. I have not had a chance to upgrade this syllabus. This is the one I used last fall. So anywhere you see fall 2015, put in 16. I'll put in that in later, so don't worry about it. Most of this is the same. Where there are exceptions, I will let you know. Okay? Yeah, here we go. And it will also say first mini-term, because I pick up a class second mini-term, and that will change what the syllabus looks like as far as office hours go. Nothing about the math, but just like office hours go. Okay, this is Math 100. Everybody is in the right class, right? Good deal. Okay. It's a Blackboard supported course. Okay, 3 credit hours. The class meeting days and time are just like listed: Monday, Wednesday, 8 to 9:15. Location: Bessemer Campus A, building room 8255. Everything's the same there. I'm still Charles Fowler. This is my email, cfowler@lawsonstate.edu. And by the way, just about all the employees of the college, that's how you can locate us on email. First initial, last name, @lawsonstate.edu. Students, you have a number in there, and at students.lawsonstate.edu. But employees of the college are pretty much that. There are a few exceptions, okay? Those very common names, for instance, there was an S. Williams on the Birmingham campus when we merged. This used to be Bessemer State Technical College. We had a Sharon Williams here. They already had S. Williams there, so Ms. Sharon Williams in Financial Services Office became S.D. Williams. Her middle initial was D. Miss Darlene Martin, there was another D. Martin. She's a math instructor on the Birmingham campus. She's DM. So there's a few like that. Now, there's a few who've chosen to change that. Our graphics instructor here, drafting and design instructor, Mr. Donnell Perry, goes by Don Perry, not D. Perry. So Don Perry at lawsonstate.edu. And Mr. Kelvin King, who teaches speech and English, he goes by Kelvin King or something like that. So a few people have chosen different emails, but most of us are first initial last name at lawsonstate.edu. Now, my phone is 929-3449. So let me do a timeout here. Right now, I'm probably days, if not weeks, behind in emails because we've been dealing with registration all of last week, and I hardly had any time to get on email, so I'm way behind there. I'm even farther behind in voicemails, okay, because I was calling students on canceled classes. I'm the math department chair. Every time I cancel a class, I try to call all the students before I do it and let them know it's going to be canceled so they can start making arrangements. Not everybody does that, but I do. So I was on the phone so much, there'd be calls coming in when I was on the phone, and I couldn't get off, and I'd lose them. So I don't know when I'll ever get around to checking those voicemails. So I'm way behind in voicemails, not quite as far behind in emails, but I am behind in both. So I'll try to get there. So let me give you a few hints on that. Email if you can. I will try to get there, maybe a few weeks late, but I'll get there. The phone, I'm going to tell you my office hours. These are incorrect right now, so don't write them down. But when I tell you my office hours, try to call during office hours. Because if I'm in class, I'm not going to hear the phone ring. It's going to go to voicemail. I'll never hear, it'll be a long time before I hear it again, okay? So try to call me during office hours. If you don't get me then, hang up and try again a few minutes later. I'll come back, and it's far easier that way. For right now, don't bother with phone voicemails. I'll let you know when I get those cleared out. So, my office hours. These are incorrect. These are from last fall. Let me tell you what this fall first mini-term office hours are. I don't know, okay, but I'll give you my best idea. Like I said, today I've got this class, then I've got a 9:30 class. It goes until 11:10 because that's a calculus class. And then I have another class starting at 11. That's going to be interesting to do. And so I've got to move that 11 o'clock class. Then it goes until 12:15. I've got a 12:30 class that goes until 2:40, I believe it is. No, I don't know. I'll have to check. But then I'm going to have to move my 11 o'clock classes somewhere later in the afternoon, probably 2 o'clock. Let me see. I've got these things here. Let's see. Yeah, my Cal 2 class is 9:30 to 11:10. My differential equations class is 11 to 12:15, and my Cal 3 class is 12:15 till 1:55. So I'll probably move the 11 o'clock class to 2 o'clock. Okay, so if that's the case, that'll go 2 until 3:15. So on Monday and Wednesday, should have office hours from 11:15 to 12:15, because that's when my next calculus class starts. And then from 3:15 until 5:15, or something like that, okay? That's going to be my Monday and Wednesday, okay, for the first mini-term. No, that'll be good all term. Tuesday, Thursday, this is where the big change comes. Most days, most terms, my Tuesday, Thursday are my heavy days. Monday, Wednesdays, the classes don't make, like calculus and differential equations and linear algebra. They usually don't make. This was sometimes my only class on Monday, Wednesday. This term, everything on Monday, Wednesday, I've got classes, and Tuesday, Thursday, I only got 1.5 classes. So I do have an 8 to 9:15 class, so my office hours on Tuesday, Thursday will start at 9:30 and go until 5:15 for the first mini-term. Second mini-term, they'll go to 3:15, just like here. It'll be 9:30 to 3:15, because that's when I pick up my second mini-term class. Okay? So don't worry about Wednesday. That's not a separate. Monday and Wednesday are the same right now. Okay? Last fall, I had a physics class in the afternoon, so that sort of messed things up a little bit. All right, my office is here on this campus, Bessemer campus, A building, room A265. Let me show you where that is. Okay? Here's a map of the second floor. Here we are in the corner office, right? Classroom, I'm sorry. Okay? You go out of the door here, take a left, go down that half flight of stairs, go almost all the way to the end of the hall, and just between the mechanical room and the stairwell, there's an office there. It used to be a closet, but now it's a nice-sized office, and that's 265. Okay, so it's on this floor, but it's a half level below where we are right now. Okay? Fridays. Most Fridays I'll be on the Birmingham campus, 7:45 to 11:45. This Friday it's probably going to be later because I think we're screening for a position. And that's Birmingham campus, the academic building, and that's in B122. Are y'all familiar with Birmingham campus at all? Okay. I think you can go to the website and get directions for how to get there. And there's maps of the buildings there, and I think it's pretty easy to see. But it's going to be hard to describe to you if you don't know. If you do need to see me, get with me, say on a Monday or Wednesday, and say, I need to see you on Friday. How do I get there? And I'll try to explain it to you. Okay? Now, the course description. Let me say a few things about this course description. I didn't write it. No one here at the college wrote it. In fact, no single individual wrote it, as far as I know. It was done by a committee of 2-year college folks and 4-year college and university folks from the state of Alabama, public schools here in the state of Alabama. The reason they did it that way, they said, if we teach this, they give you credit for it, if they give you credit for Math 100. If some of you are going to say UAH, I don't know if UAH gives credit for Math 100. I just picked the school out of the air there. But if they give credit for Math 100, if you do this, you get credit for it. So we try to do this. This course provides a study of algebraic techniques, it's algebra class, such as linear equations and inequalities. Now, we're going to assume you already know most of that, okay? But we'll be dealing with these. Quadratic equations, you probably know most of that, but we'll definitely deal with those. Systems of equations and operations with exponents and radicals. Functions and relations are introduced and graphed with special emphasis on linear and quadratic functions. Now, to give you an idea of where this goes in your book, I don't see too many of you with books. In fact, anybody with a book. When you get your book, okay, good, thank you. All right. Chapter 1, basic concepts and properties. That's stuff you should have picked up already, okay? You should know that. So that's a review chapter for you. It's real short, only 4 sections, okay? Maybe 5. And then chapter 2, equations, inequalities, and problem solving. There's equations and inequalities. I just saw it. Yeah, equations and inequalities. Well, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3. I got the right book. I'm sorry. Chapter 2 is another one on you, okay? Review that. Sorry about this. I was thinking my pre-calculus algebra class. Chapter 1 and 2 are things you probably picked up either in 098 if you took it here, or in high school if you're just scored for 100 out of high school. Again, review those on your own. Chapter 3, polynomials, sums, and differences. You should already know that. Products and quotients of monomials. That's pretty simple. Multiplying polynomials, okay? Starting with 3, 4. That's where we're beginning. So, chapter 1, chapter 2, 3-1 through 3-3, review those on your own. That's sort of a homework assignment for Wednesday, okay? Get your books, go over that, see if there's anything you're a little fuzzy on, unfamiliar with, ask me. We'll take the time to review that, but we won't have formal class on that. I mean, we'll do it in class, but you're not going to be tested on it directly. You're going to be tested on the stuff that draws from that. Now, when we start in factoring, guess what we're going to do? We're going to be dealing with adding and subtracting and multiplying polynomials. We'll review what we need, okay? And then when you're solving equations and problem solving, we'll review all the things about equations and problem solving. So we will cover that material as we need where you have deficiencies. You ask me questions, we'll go over any of that, or when we get to actually applying it down here, if you're fuzzy on it, I'll take the time to explain it then. So, is that clear? I think you'll find it's pretty much where you should be, because Math 098 takes you all the way through chapters 1 and 2, and probably even where we're beginning in 3. But this is just a convenient place to start. Okay. Well, let's go to the rest of it. So that's, I'll get to that later. It's going to be in the syllabus, so we'll get there later. All right, prerequisites and co-requisites. Math 100 has a prerequisite that the student should successfully pass 098 or score for Math 100 on your placement test. Everybody fit the bill there? All right, good deal. No co-requisites, okay? I've been talking about the text. Let's look at it. The textbook and other learning resources is Kaufman and Switters. That's the title of it. I mean, the authors of it, Kaufman and Switters. Intermediate Algebra, 10th edition, and its copyright date was 2015, okay? We're now in 2016, so this book will probably be good another year or two. These book publishers like to turn them over real quickly. Why? because they don't want students buying used books. They don't make any money on used books, so they have them update editions about every 3 or 4 years, sometimes more frequently. So this would be good for a while. Okay, it's a Brooks Cole Cengage. That's the culprits in doing that. Brooks Cole Cengage. Okay, Cengage Learning. Students are expected to bring the text, paper, and pencil. Now, I didn't write the syllabus. If you want pen, if you're comfortable with pen and ink, you're fine with me. I'll make another confession here. When I do math, I tend to make mistakes. So I like to use a pencil so I can erase and not have blobs on the paper where I have to blob out the ink. Okay? But if you are comfortable with ink, that's fine with me. Calculators are permitted in the class. In fact, I would say encouraged. And for this course, a simple cheapy calculator will do everything you need. I've got freebies that they give away at places that does just about everything you need. Scientific calculator will take you a little bit further in a few of the chapters, and that would be a little handier. However, if you do think as your degree plan, program of study, shows you taking Math 112 or 13, which I'm guessing at least half of you will probably wind up taking, then a graphing calculator may be okay. Okay? So if you have any calculator, that's going to be fine. But for the future, graphing calculators would be nice to have. You don't need them in this course. We will do some graphing. If you want it, go on and get the graphing calculator, and maybe make life a little easier there. Now, they've told us we cannot change this paragraph. Other things we can adjust. This one they can't. And I wish they could. I'll also say community college students must be trained in Blackboard and use Blackboard daily to gain access to vital course information such as the syllabus. And I know y'all are going to read the syllabus every day, aren't you? Weekends and Sundays, yes, you're going to get up and read that syllabus. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I wouldn't have written that. Okay. Handouts. Guess what, team? Most of the time, if I have a handout for you, I'm going to hand it out to you. Okay. So I won't be I will put the syllabus on Blackboard. It's not there yet. Okay. I don't even have it updated yet. So I'll try to get it done hopefully this week, but we'll see. I was hoping to do it over the weekend, but I couldn't get it done then. Handouts, most of the time that won't be. Occasionally it might. PowerPoint shows, yes. They're not there yet, but I'm going to put it. I'm going to put the PowerPoints for this class on Blackboard, okay? And that will be in static form. That will be under content. And by the way, that's where the syllabus will go to. Y'all are familiar with Blackboard, right? Upper left. I don't know the student side. All I know is the faculty side. But in the upper left column of the home page for this course, there's several tabs there. And about the second or third one there says content. That's where I'll put the syllabus. That's where I'll put the research paper assignment. That's coming later. That's where I'll put your PowerPoint presentation. The static version of that. And that's where I will put my locator card showing when I'm in class, when I'm not in class, first, second meeting room, that kind of stuff. And I will also put any resources that I have found or that students have found and shared with me, then I'll put those on there too, like Khan Academy, Education Portal, some of these places that have this same material we're doing from slightly different perspectives. So if you're not understanding it from the book or somewhere else, you can maybe find it there. And y'all know where to find those things anyway. But I'll put the ones I found the students have shared with me that they found useful. Okay? So those will all be on Blackboard, PowerPoint shows. But that'll be the static version. Okay? As you see, I'm going to be using Screencast-O-Matic. So when I do the PowerPoints, you will see that. You'll hear me talk about it, and hopefully I can write on it. Okay? So I can solve problems there. So all that will be there. That will be wherever you find the YouTube. I haven't figured out where that's going to be yet, but that may be under content too. I'll find that out and let you know. So PowerPoints will be in two places, one under content in static form, the other in YouTube or wherever the Screencast-O-Matic sends it. And I'll tell you how to get to it when I know, okay? Activities, sometimes the school puts activities out there. We don't have that many, so I'm not going to do a lot of things there. Assignments, I'll put at least, okay. Your assignments will be on Blackboard, but they won't be probably how you're used to seeing them. Okay, number one, I'll put your research paper assignment out there in Blackboard under content. That will be there. There's one assignment. The rest of your assignments, when you're listening to Screencast-O-Matic, when I come to the end of a section, I'll give you this assignment for that section. When I come to the end of a class, I'll give you the assignment for the material we covered in the current section up until then. So the assignments will be there in Blackboard, but I'm not going to type them out and say, here's what you do. Listen to Screencast-O-Matic and you'll hear. Okay? So if you're here, you probably have already gotten it. If not, you can review it on Screencast-O-Matic. Or even if you are here, you can review it. Okay. Announcements. Usually the school will sometimes put announcements there. Most of the time I won't have many, but if I do, I'll put them there. And grades, okay? Especially early in the term, most of the time, especially the first mini term, I should be able to get your grades out there shortly after you turn stuff in. Like you see, I have no time to grade on Mondays and Wednesdays until starting at 3:15 in the afternoon. I have a couple hours in. So don't expect them at 10:30 because I'll be in another class at 10:30. But as soon as I can get to them, I'll get your things graded. Now, at mini term, I pick up another class, okay, and we start doing things for spring term, and then things will slow down. But hopefully it won't be too bad. I'll let you know if I'm getting behind in getting grades on Blackboard. I do not like this next sentence at all. Failure to use Blackboards could severely damage your ability to pass the course. That's pretty negative, isn't it? If I were writing this and they don't let me change it, I would say the proper use of Blackboard could greatly enhance your ability to do well in the course. It's a lot more positive and I think closer to reality, okay? And they don't let me change this. We haven't had a scheduled book in years. We have it all online now. So there is no scheduled book, inside cover. There is no cover, not inside or outside, okay? So if you need training, see me. I'll try to find where the training is if you need training in Blackboard. And here's another sentence I don't care for. Students should always check the Blackboard assignment announcements page prior to coming to class. Now, maybe that's good advice. Why would you think that sentence is in there? Second? Yes, exactly. In other words, understood here, comma, in case the instructor has canceled class. And I'll tell you, none of you have been in my class before, right? I don't recognize any of you been in a class after mine before. How many times was I not here when you were coming in? I'm usually here. Check with Matthew. He'll tell you. I, knock on wood, hardly ever miss class. I'll be sick. I'm going to be here if I possibly can. Now, if I'm too sick or there's been a wreck on the interstate, guess what? Probably not going to have a chance to put it on Blackboard anyway. Now, if I know ahead of time, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, okay? And I'll try to put it on Blackboard or so, but I try not to miss class, okay? That won't say I won't miss it, but I'm going to, by all means, try never to miss a class, if it's all possible. Okay, so I don't like that sentence for what it implies. Maybe you need it for others, I don't know. Course student learning outcomes. Students will perform operations with polynomials. Chapter 3, polynomials, right? And you'll see down here, that's Chapter 3. And by the way, Chapter 6. I'm going to scoot this up a little bit. So maybe all this is on the same page. Let's see if I can do that. All right. Okay? That's Chapter 3 with a few sections in 6. I'll go over that in a minute. Students will perform operations with rational and radical expressions. That's Chapter 4, rational expressions. Chapter 5, radical expressions. Okay? Students will solve quadratic equations by at least 2 of the following methods: factoring, completing the square, using the quadratic formula. That goes back up to Chapters 3 and 6. Students will solve linear equations and inequalities. We do that throughout the whole term. Every chapter we'll do that. Students will graph linear equations and inequality with 2 variables. That's Chapter 7. Linear equations and inequalities in 2 variables. Okay? Students will work with functions. That's Chapter 9, functions. We'll only do a couple sections there. And students will solve systems of systems of linear equations. And that's Chapter 10. Okay? So we're going to do 3 and then jump over and do a little bit in 6. Then we'll come back and do 4, 5. We've already done what we're going to do in 6, 7, skip 8 and do 9 and 10. But only a couple sections in 9 and 10. In fact, let's go over that now. I've already told you we're going to do sections 3, 4. I didn't tell you how far through 3, 7 in chapter 3. That's there. That's only 4 sections. Then we jump over to chapter 6, and 6.2 is quadratic equations. Well, if you look back to chapter 3, that's what factoring was solving quadratic equations. Then we'll do completing the square. You see it here, okay? And the quadratic formula. Right there, okay? So that's what we're going to cover in 6. That's section 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4, okay? They go so closely with what you do in chapter 3, that's why I put them together. Then we'll do rational expressions. Rational expressions, 4.1 through 4.6, okay? Then exponents and radicals, chapter 5. That's 5.1 through 5.6, okay? We've already talked about 6, not doing 7. No, I'm sorry, we are doing 7. I've got my numbers wrong, don't I? No, here it is. Okay, there's 7. Okay, chapter 7, and that's 7.1 through 7.4, I believe it is, okay? And then we'd skip chapter 8, conic sections, and go to functions and only do 9.1 and 9.2, introduction to function. If you go back to the course description, you'll see that. And then systems of linear equations, chapter 10, 10.1 through 10.3. All right. Sure sounds like a lot, doesn't it? All right. Here's my theory on teaching math, and I think learning math. It's very important you get the basics down. If you get them, you can add to that more easily. If I rush through this and you don't understand any of it, what's the point? So I'm going to focus here. If we don't get to everything down here, I hope I've given you enough that you can figure it out. Okay? So we'll get as far as we can. Now here's the other thing, and this is what I feel enables me to do this. Math 100 is the one course at the 100 and above level in math that we have a departmental final, okay? Because it's departmental final, we need to cover all the topics here, okay? So what I do right at the end of the term, if it looks like I'm not going to have time to go through everything in the book, we do a timeout, and there is a review sheet, sheets and sheets for the final exam. There's like 100 multiple choice questions and 30 some odd short answer questions that are similar to, not the same as what you'll see on the final exam. We will stop at some point and then cover all the materials that we haven't gotten to in the book. We'll cover on those review sheets. And that way you'll get covered what we need, and hopefully, like I said, you'll have the basics for it, so hopefully it'll make sense to you. I'll fill in any gaps that you need. Does that make sense? So if we don't get to chapter 10 here, we'll get to it on the review. Okay? Any questions? All right. Evaluation and assessment. How will I go about grading this? Now, let me go back up here. Point something else out to you. Notice in most of these chapters, it'll say quiz and test, quiz and test, quiz and test. Okay? What that means is about halfway through that unit of material, I'll give you a take-home quiz. Okay? That take-home quiz is due back generally within a week. Okay? If you need more time, I'll let you have more time, but you've got to get it turned into me before the test. Otherwise, you get a 0 on the quiz, and you don't want a 0 on the quiz. Okay? It's a take-home. You ought to make a good score on it. Then we'll have in-class tests on that unit of material. Okay? That's in class. It's closed book, but I'll let you bring into every test except the final, okay, because that's departmental. But for every unit test, I let you bring in a formula and equation sheet. So I suggest that as we cover material, things you think might be important, especially things you're a little fuzzy on, write them down. Start building your formula and equation sheet at the very beginning of every section, add to it, and then condense it down to one piece of paper. Front and back, as little as you want to write, okay? I mean small, okay? So, that's the test. And notice here, everything goes pretty well except Chapter 9. Remember, there's only 2 sections there. After those 2 sections, we'll have a quiz, if we have time to do this, and then we'll have the test on these 2 chapters together, covering that. So, the test will cover what was on the quiz, plus the sections we covered since the quiz. So, you'll be quizzed on the first part of everything, and tested on the first and second part. Any questions? All right. So, all items associated, one thing that didn't show up here, I don't know why, it's another competency is going to be your research paper. I don't know why it's not on this syllabus, but I'll talk about that. All items assessed will be used in calculating the final grade. Letter grades will be assigned just as normal. A paper will be assigned, and we'll talk about that. If not, we don't have time. We probably won't get to it today. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. And it will count as a quiz score, okay? But that paper cannot be dropped. Cannot be dropped. The research paper cannot be dropped. Understood? Okay. The lowest chapter quiz, except for the paper, it may be dropped, if that helps your average, okay? The quiz average of the paper and the remaining quiz scores may replace your lowest test score, okay? May, okay? If it helps you, I'll do that. Now, we will have a comprehensive final exam. It is a departmental exam. Now, that one, because the rest of the department doesn't allow a formula and equation sheet, I can't allow it either, because it has to be the same throughout the thing. But guess what? If you're in the practice of doing it, and by the way, I recommend this for every test and every subject you ever do. Work you out a formula and equation sheet. Maybe not just the night before the test, but sometime work out a formula and equation sheet. If you're not allowed to use it, don't use it, okay? Don't bring it in there. Don't be accused of cheating. But here's why I recommend that. It wasn't often when I was an undergraduate, and a few more times in grad school, I was allowed to have a formula and equation sheet. So that night before the test, I wrote down all the important things. I organized that stuff. And then when I got to take the test, I'd forget to look at it. Because the act of writing it down is what they call active learning. And soon that was now imprinted in my head. I didn't need to look at the sheet. So it's a good idea, whether you're allowed to use it or not, is to do your formula and equation sheet. Okay, especially in math or something like that. Okay. But that comprehensive final exam, you can do one up, but you won't be able to use it. Okay? Now, what I do at the end, then, I will count that either as 1 or 2 chapter test scores. If you do better on the comprehensive than you did on your average coming in, I count it twice. If you do worse on it, I only count it once. So I do it the way it helps you the most. Okay? The final grade will be an average of the quiz average, remaining test, comprehensive final exam, and you know the scoring. Okay? Now, all students in Math 100 take a common final exam. In order to pass the course, they must earn an average grade of 70% or higher on the submitted work. Okay? This used to say, when I got the syllabus, on the final exam. I do not believe everything should write on one test. So I say on the submitted work. But most of the time, if you pass the final, you're passing the course anyway. Okay? Now, let's talk about attendance. Oh, that wasn't what was there. Sorry. Oh, here we go. All right. This is slow going. Whoa! Then it goes too fast. All right. Students are expected to attend all classes for which they're registered. This is in general. Students who are unable to attend class regularly, regardless of the reason. I mean, yeah, you can have excused absences. Yeah, I don't care about that. If you're not in class, generally you're not going to get the material as well anyway, hopefully, that I'm doing my job. Okay, so if you're having to miss, whether it's intentional or non-intentional, excused or not excused, it's probably going to mess up your grade. Messing up your grade, that can really hurt. So poor attendance could interfere with your ability to achieve the student learning outcomes and therefore get a good grade. Withdrawal can affect your eligibility of financial aid, so sometimes withdrawing is the best choice. Other times it may not be, okay? So you have to get with your advisor, with financial aid. If you've got that, get with me and we can talk things through. I've been in this for quite a while, so you know, we can work that out. So just keep that in mind. Makeup work, generally, okay, quizzes, you have at least a week to do it, so get your quiz and do it. Turn it in. Your paper, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but get that done. Your test, if you can't be here on the test day, let me know ahead of time, okay? And then we will arrange and try to get that test made up in a week. Again, that 1 week is the magic thing. Here's, by the way, why I give you a week on the quizzes. 2 reasons. Number one, there's always one class day in between that you can ask me questions. Now, I won't work any quiz questions for you in class. You're getting tested on those. But the homework exercises in the book, I'll work any of those, okay? So, and the quiz questions are going to be very similar to the homework exercises. So if you're having a problem figuring out what to do, find one like it in the book, ask me in class, I'll do that. The other reason I give you a week to work on a quiz, you always have a weekend in there. Therefore, if you are busy during the week and just don't have a lot of time, you work or do other things, maybe on the weekend you can squeeze in time to get it done. Okay? So, try to get your test made up if you have to miss that. How are we doing? Well, it's time. I think probably you've seen this discrimination and harassment, haven't you, on other syllabi? We don't tolerate it. We don't condone it. If it happens, please let us know. If I see it, we're going to nip it in the bud, okay? So anything you see like that. Americans with disability, if you or anyone you know has any type of disability, for instance, I mentioned I'm hard of hearing. I understand what that's like. Please let us know. There are procedures here. Dr. Renee Herndon, Miss Valana Suggs, any of them. I think that may have changed. We'll find out if that's changed. If you have grievance procedures. And I'll get this updated, but this pretty much is going to be similar to this year. This is 2015. I'll get this updated for 2016. Any questions? Oh, and here's the approximate the schedule. Again, I'm not nailed to the floor on this one. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure y'all keep up with as much as we can. It's a big class. I can't keep everybody. You have to do your part. So, but we'll try to follow a schedule such as that. I'll update it for the dates for this time. All right. Any questions on the syllabus? I'll get it updated, put it on Blackboard. I'll let you know, and then we'll talk about. Once it's out there, you can sign this and turn it in. Let me know that you've received it. Next time, we'll talk about research paper. I'll talk about my locator card when I'm in class and not. Hopefully, I'll know by Wednesday. And we'll also talk about safety. Didn't have time for that today. Hopefully, we'll get started in real math, okay? But we'll get going on that. Good deal. First day of class, first class, of the term, it's always hectic. So, glad y'all were patient. Now I've got to figure out how to end this thing.